So let's talk about it. Convenient friendships disappear when the convenience does, but intentional friendships can outlive environments, can outlive circumstances, because there's always a practice in motion. Okay, a while ago I posted a video about planning. You know, how in life we don't really plan our future with our friends in mind. Like, it sounds nice to have friends that you go through life with, but what are the practical plans you're putting in place to make sure that that happens? Because a lot of times the moment we get into a relationship, the moment we get a job, the moment we move, that relationship dies. And people won't readily say that. You know, they'll say, well, yeah, you know, I haven't seen them in a while. We don't talk all the time, but we're still as close as ever. Is that true? See, a lot of times we conflate acquaintances or associates or old friends with the cost of entry for friendship now. See, friendship isn't just about familiarity or somebody you know or you have history with, as I talked about. Friendship is an active relationship that you got to tend to. You know, there are so many people that say, yeah, we can go friends, we can go years without talking to our friends and still be that. But is that true? When it came to your partner, your romantic partner, if you go on weeks or months without talking, are you still in partnership? And if you say that's different, well, what's the difference? Because at one point that person was a stranger too, but you made them a priority in your life and you are committing to the consistency to uphold that relationship. The same thing applies to friendship. It's no different. And when we get to the practical side, well, yeah, well, what if I'm building a life with this person? You can build a life with your friends too. Right? Not everything needs to be sexual. And if that's the only contingent that is making a stark difference between the effort you make towards your friends and the effort you make towards somebody you've chosen as a partner, then it goes to show it's about convenience. It's not conviction behind the relationship. You know? And some people like to say, well, my friend is not my partner, so I don't have to respond or be as intentional with that relationship. And sometimes the undercurrent is saying, well, my partner establishes a certain level of maturity that I have. That's not always the case. A lot of times we are dating our patterns, okay? Things that we've learned, things that we've saw as kids, okay? We haven't really grown up or matured. We just got older. And now we have a job we have to go to, yes, to pay bills. But I remember walking into a store as a kid and handing the cashier my money if I wanted to buy some candy. And meanwhile, there was an adult in front of me paying with the same kind of money. So we were both doing the same thing. So that doesn't necessarily establish maturity. It's about how you move. And truth be told, we are really facing a loneliness epidemic because more people are desiring the kind of friend that they're not willing to be, right? We desire to have somebody in our life who is willing to do the work and show up for us and care for us and nurture us. But when it comes to us providing that now, it's, well, you're wanting me to be your partner. But we always seek our friends out for emotional support when that partnership fails, when that job fails, when we're having dysfunction in our families. Which goes to show how important friendship actually is. So how do you sustain those friendships? Well, you got to get past the surface. You know, last video I talked about the difference between men having friendships later in life and then women is the fact that women, you know, from a very young age are taught community, taught to be intentional, and there is emotional depth. And yes, they may fall out with their friends. The reason why is because they're not always surface with them. And this isn't to say all women, because yeah, people, if you don't have the skill set to be an intentional friend, it will show up regardless of your gender. But to be an intentional friend means that you have to be an active participant. Friends are not fake plants that you don't have to water, and they're just there making your house and your life look pretty. Now, they have to be tended to. And if they're not, well, things will die off. And this idea that people are supposed to hold their place in line or sit in the waiting room until we are ready to deal with them doesn't work. Because the same way we like to say that we have busy lives, those people do too. And somebody choosing you actively doesn't mean that they don't have a life of their own. They're just saying, I want you to be a part of mine. Because a lot of times when we're saying, oh yeah, everybody has a busy life, but what are you busy with? You're busy with the people. You're busy with the things that you want to commit to. The truth of the matter is we will always be too busy for the things that we don't want to make time for. People, places, and things. Okay? And sometimes friendship, a lot of times friendship, requires a certain level of emotional maturity and availability that a lot of people are not willing to step up to. When we remove convenience of somebody being in proximity, when we remove the convenience of the party friend, when we remove the convenience of, let's say, I get something from this person, what is left of the actual relationship? And sometimes you may realize that the only thing that's keeping this relationship together with another person is the fact that I keep trying to keep it alive. Sometimes we are so fearful to give people space because we realize that, well, if I stop trying, I kind of know what's going to take place. We'll probably stop keeping in touch. And sometimes that's okay because we need to understand that friendship, true friendship, requires mutuality. It requires reciprocity. Okay? If there's one thing I was raised on is like, hey, you're not owed anybody's time. You're not owed anybody's time, which means that I cannot be someone who doesn't show up and still expect other people to be there when I'm ready. People don't owe you anything. And I know people like to say that as a defense to why they are not showing up. Well, I don't owe anybody anything. When it comes to your friendships, you kind of do. If these are people that are making room in their life for you, you owe them. You owe them some level of care. You owe them some level of respect. It's not always about treating people how you want to be treated just because you don't have needs from that relationship. Well, do you? Or is it only at your convenience? Because this person is a human too, and they also have needs. So what does it look like to actually sustain healthy relationships? Well, traditions are important. Hey, let's commit to something. Let's not let X amount of time pass before we reach out and check in. Let's actually plan a trip if we live far from each other. Okay? Let's make sure that we don't allow messages to go past a certain amount of days or even hours. Nobody is that busy. Speaking from experience, nobody is that busy. And they say the busiest people will get the things done. So sometimes we got to be real about how we are navigating friendship, and the reason why they don't last is because we are not treating them like something that is worth taking with us into the future. We're not planning for our friends. Okay, we're not making room for them in our lives. We treat them as placeholders or buffers until other things come along that we desire more. So really take a look at your friendships and take a look at what is holding them together. How are you holding them together? Because yes, friendships based on convenience will not last. And no matter how we try to argue it, we can never escape ourselves. So how you show up is what will show up. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other.